Hey there, welcome to episode 181 of the Let's Innovate for Vegas audio program. I am your host, Managing Director of the Innovate for Vegas Foundation, Dan Hugo. We are recording this episode at 10:49 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time here in Greater Vegas on Monday, August 3rd, 2026. We normally release new episodes of this audio program on Tuesdays, often in the morning. Looks like we'll make it this time with some time to spare. So recording on August 3rd, releasing August 4th, right on schedule. Today's title and topic, slight change of plans. It's slight, don't worry, but we'll get into the reasoning and so on. If you're not familiar with the Innovate for Vegas Foundation, you've come to the right place. We are a Nevada nonprofit corporation, a 501c3 public charity. We are currently in our 5th fiscal year as of July 1st. So we're in year 5. Year 4 was kind of a resting year where we are sort of, I'm not quite sure yet how progress is moving, getting out of the civic volunteer winter. We are a civic volunteer organization focused on civic innovation, that is being creative and solving problems that affect the people in communities. So community elevation, our purpose statement on file with the Nevada Secretary of State. We are a Nevada nonprofit corporation. Don't forget, we're like a real business. We just don't make any money. To enable and encourage ideation, innovation, and implementation to make our communities better. Nothing about coding in there. Innovation can take many forms. It starts with ideas and it ends with putting them into practice. And then integration is that fourth I that's more advanced, perhaps. We just sat our new board members. One of these days we'll have an episode with them joining in, and I think that's about it. Yeah, we want to elevate communities. Everything we're working on also creates a sort of an environment that encourages communication and collaboration. These are job and life skills, and hopefully we'll come up with things that do elevate the communities around us, near and far. And in fact, one of our approaches, a business model, if you like, is to take anything that does work that we can try out on the people of Vegas and the people who visit Vegas. Don't forget, that's a big number. Visitors and locals bring a number of close to 40 million, give or take. It's a lot of co-creation potential. But if we can turn ideas into viable models, business perhaps, then we can spin them off and make them actual startups. So what we are doing is not do a project, be done, archive it, move on. All of our initiatives are open for potential continuous development into the future, and then possibly spinning off into business opportunities. And the people who contribute their civic volunteer time, effort, and expertise, those are the first ones that would be a part of the spin out. So a lot of possibilities if we can get people to participate or notice us or discover what we're working on. And so an audio program every week is one facet of that mosaic of outreach. On that note, hopefully wherever you found our audio program, this one, you're able to locate the episode description, which contains the show notes, including a summary and a few links for today's episode. Not mostly, there are 5. So 2 of them are about the title of this episode. Or I'm sorry, a quote in the summary, which I'll read for you now. It's related to the title of the episode. So the summary: the best laid schemes of mice and men go oft awry. Although you've probably heard it more often as the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. But we're closer to the English translation from the original Scottish. This was a quote so said by Robert Burns by way of his poem To a Mouse, written or possibly published in November of 1785. Our plans are changing for September of this year for the concerned mice in our audience. The links, the first 2 as usual. I'm going to change this. I've been calling it the Innovate for Vegas activity website, but thanks to our sort of mini reorg, which we covered in a previous episode, The Innovate for Vegas cohort website, innovateforvegas.org, innovate FOR Vegas, .org. Initiatives, civic volunteers, what are we up to? So that's the actual sort of project and initiative focused effort. You can join a project. We're not a membership organization, so you're not technically joining the Innovate for Vegas Foundation. We don't have that. But you can participate on a project. We do, thanks to the Agile for Volunteers methodology. We assume right up front that people are going to join and leave, or join and not show up again, or not show up at all. So innovateforvegas.org is where you go for, like, what are they working on? MyMuni, Welcome, Open Transit, Challengers. There's a list. Right now, one person is working on any of them. So progress is slow, slightly greater than 0. So that's good. And the Innovate for Vegas Foundation website, Innovate FOR Vegas, no space, innovateforvegas.foundation. And to be perfectly clear, they're both part of the foundation. They are the foundation, which is a Nevada nonprofit corporation. It's not a DBA. It's not a separate company. It's the same. It's 2 entrances to the same kitchen. So yeah, innovateforvegas.org is merely focused on the activities that we are doing. Innovateforvegas.foundation focuses on the fact that we are a Nevada nonprofit corporation. We have bylaws and a board of directors and all the businessy stuff. The Innovate for Vegas Foundation can also facilitate and fiscally sponsor things like the Smarter Smart City Challenge and City Camp, if we move that to next year. That's a spoiler alert. So just to keep it clear, innovateforvegas.org is where you would participate in an ongoing initiative that we drive, whole team effort. So, you can participate in that part too. The innovateforvegas.foundation is more the business side, facilitating and fiscally sponsoring, and whatever else comes of that. So just some clarity, some marketing messaging perhaps. To a Mouse by Robert Burns, the Wikipedia page, has both the original Scottish and the translated to English, so there may be a lack of precision there. Best laid schemes, best laid plans, whatever it is. You can read about the story. This one line is one of many. It's a fairly long poem, so give it a look. Sprinkle some culture on your morning coffee, I suppose. And if you'd like to hear it read in the Scottish form, I've linked to a YouTube video. I can't guarantee that it will remain there forever, but I've linked to a YouTube video of Sir William Billy Connolly, sort of infamous Scottish stand-up comedian, reading it in Scottish. So don't feel bad if you don't understand a single word he says, but it's okay. Give it a try. See what you come away with. And finally, a link to the City Camp website, citycamp.com. City Camp is one word, just like it sounds, City Camp. And their events page, you can see we would have had our card on that page, but thanks to a catastrophic lack of interest, we're gonna see if we can launch it in a better circumstance next year, if we do. But you can see who else is participating. As I'm speaking right now, it's Gainesville, Florida, and New York City, the Beta NYC community, the organization, all that goes into that. Much more engaged at the community level. People in general are more interested in participating at the Beta NYC on that side of the world. So we should have what they're having. So that's where we are. So let's get the show started so we can get it wrapped up by midnight. Then we'll still officially be on the 3rd of August. So first, the Smarter Smart City Challenge is still on. That's not going anywhere. So before we get to the City Camp situation, the year-long Smarter Smart City Challenge is still set to commence in early January of 2027. The precise date has not been set, but that's the idea, is that it's a full year. So you don't have to be there on that particular day, because you could come by the next day or the next month, or technically the next year. As is the case with the NASA Space Apps Challenge, for example, you can join in the final minutes of the event. In that case, it's more of a hackathon that lasts for 40 hours, I think it is. So yeah, you can join whenever you want, even in 2028. It was the slip of this year-long event to January rather than kicking it off in 2026, which was the original plan, that basically would have coincided with like the school year or the summer. Like one idea was to kick it off, the Smarter Smart City Challenge, in June or during the summer sometime, so that students would have some time to kick around some ideas, or when they got back to school, September. That's been a lesson learned. But it left some room in the schedule when we slipped it to January to try for an inaugural City Camp event here in Greater Vegas. There has never been one. The Smarter Smart City Challenge is planned for the entire year through to January 2028 again. So planning can be a bit looser. We do not have to have everybody interested go through a sign-up process and then hope they show up on a single day. People can hop on and hop off as their schedule permits. It's not like a year-long, every single day planned out. It's merely a wide open timeline to enable people to participate when they can, when they hear about it, which could be later. How many times have you, I missed, was the hackathon last weekend? I wanted to participate. Now you can. It's also next weekend. There will be hackathons, or there will be other, it's going to be one of those things that whatever kind of works, whatever appeals to people so that they can feel as though they are able to participate and they want to participate, and so on. So yeah, year-long timeline will ideally enable more people to participate when they can, after they learn about it, whenever. A very small chance that someone will wish they had heard about it sooner. So that is always a challenge in the Vegas awareness environment. So yeah, it is possible it'll be February of 2028. Somebody will say, "Oh, I never heard of it. I was gonna." So we'll see if we can avoid that. We did have our open pre-planning meetups online in the early part of 2026, mostly aimed at the Smarter Smart City Challenge, but then later trying to appeal to people for the City Camp Las Vegas 2026 inaugural event. When the plan was to kick off the challenge this year, as I mentioned, summer, September, and then we added the City Camp, slipped the challenge out to January, had these open meetups, kept inviting people. We had zero interest. This is probably a combination of general apathy and the absolutely impossible situation anyone faces trying to get the word out about anything novel in the Greater Vegas area. I will cover that more deeply with the City Camp scenario in a moment, since we encountered all of the properties of the information awareness environment of this Greater Vegas area for that one-day event. So City Camp is a single day, Smarter Smart City Challenge all year. That should make a difference. So first, what is City Camp? Now, so I included a link, citycamp.com. If you go to the events webpage there /events, or you can just go to citycamp.com and see what you find. So if you visit that, their website, which is in the links, if you want to click on it, you can navigate to the About page and through the rest of the site and get the full rundown with history of the current state of affairs. Like they took a break, and then 2025 they brought it back, and then 2026, see where it goes this time. Briefly, it is a concerted effort to connect residents, government staff, elected officials, local press, pretty much everyone else, for a day to talk about ideas centered on civic innovation and community elevation. Those are terms that we throw around a lot too, so some core alignment anyway. Since we slipped the Smarter Smart City Challenge forward to January, and since City Camp is on its second year of a comeback of sorts, there were a few years prior, and then there was a window of civic volunteer winter, anyone, and then bringing it back. So it seemed reasonable to take a shot at a City Camp event here in Vegas, since the agenda for the City Camp aligns not only with the Smarter Smart City Challenge scope, although the length of time is significantly different by a factor of 365 at least, but also with our own, now you may pronounce this word one of two ways. I'll do both, foci and foci, multiple focus, plural of focus. So the City Camp agenda aligns with our foundation focus areas. How about that? This is the case regardless of whether we have canceled City Camp for 2026. So all these things are true. And City Camp Las Vegas 2026 is going to have to wait. Honestly, I would feel better if City Camp was a 2-day event, and maybe we can try that out. But a single day is often all the time a normal person can dedicate to something like this. It's the real world. Not everybody's like, hey, I'm going to stay awake for 48 hours. I don't even do that anymore. Not really. So yeah, I would like a 2-day event. So we'll see. I have found in my travels that the people of Greater Vegas at large, that is not the people who attend and participate in hackathons, demonstration events, startup competitions, and other such things, they're just kind of the normal people, are not always eager to check out new things. Certainly not a City Camp. City Camp is not a typical Vegas event. Like, is it at the Sphere? No. Is there free food? And by the way, I would not be against free food at City Camp, except for getting sponsors for an empty room is very tricky. Getting people into the room without sponsors for the free food is also very tricky. So, chicken, egg. We will need to get more creative getting the word out and informing the general public so that they can participate if they want to. And where I was hoping we could do that for City Camp ahead of the Smarter Smart City Challenge and then learn what worked and so on, it looks like we might be doing this in the reverse order. So we'll get Smarter Smart City Challenge up and running in January. We can continue to ramp up outreach, get people involved, add sponsors, etc. And then by the time it's September, maybe we can do a City Camp Las Vegas 2027. We will have had both people interested in the Smarter Smart City Challenge. Hopefully it's more than 2. We'll have people that might say, oh yeah, the city, it might be a day to connect with the people from city staff or elected officials or teachers who may not be participating in the Smarter Smart City Challenge. Sync up a little bit. Anything's possible. Anything. Now, the outreach problem is real. I've talked about this quite a bit lately, so I'll keep it brief. Getting the word out about anything in if the target audience is, everybody, is like, it's not people who normally attend your meetup, whatever you're doing, right? So we want to get the word out to everyone in Vegas. 2.4 million people, maybe more. This is nearly impossible in the Greater Vegas area. Social media is a mess, of course, and asking people who do have a social media following to participate in getting the word out about something like City Camp is a fool's errand. Been there, done that, tried it, didn't work. Sad to say, but that is the empirically determined truth. It's an uphill battle, and the boulder is heavy. No one is running over to help. That's a Sisyphus reference if you're paying attention. To relearn that lesson, we began outreach via LinkedIn connections, our LinkedIn page. And by the way, we started ramping this up in February, March, April for the Smart City Challenge. So this has been ongoing through a chunk of 2026, summer and before. So reaching out to LinkedIn connections, our LinkedIn page, actually pages, there's an Innovate for Vegas page and a Smart City Vegas page. A weekly virtual meetup event, which was, I don't even know if attended would be the right word in this case. There wasn't any. Direct messages on LinkedIn, for example, direct emails through LinkedIn connections or just in general to various people. And more recently, a LinkedIn newsletter, actually 2, one for each of the pages I mentioned. And I am astonished to tell you, my listener, or 2, is listener plural in this case? I don't know, that there was 0 interest. There were 0 responses, practically 0 responses. That any responses mostly read like errors, like maybe somebody would hit the reply button accidentally and then, I didn't actually mean to reply to this, so I'm not going to answer anymore. It's totally normal in Vegas. The ghost protocol, I think I've talked about this before somewhere. Even worse than this, we reached out to teachers, principals, school district officials, city staff, elected officials, individuals in relevant roles at companies in this area, and of course, members of the local media, including print media, television news, online resources, blogs and stuff, and anyone else who would come across this whole idea and become interested. Oh, City Camp, you mean you get to connect with... Yeah, no, the response rate was abysmal, and even worse than that, we did not get the interest level that we hoped would enable pursuit of this inaugural City Camp event. So if nobody is interested in coming, then we can't commit to having an event. Nobody wants an empty room. So the post-mortem so far, We don't have a postmortem for the Smarter Smart City Challenge. That will end more than a year from now. But City Camp cancellation, what have we learned? What led to the cancellation? What can we learn and apply to Smarter Smart City Challenge come January? Well, actually, already starting on that path, as we have been the whole time. But what can we learn? And then what can we learn if we do want to try City Camp Las Vegas 2027 as the inaugural event? So failure is always an acceptable outcome. It happens, especially for something new, like this attempted City Camp event for September. And in the spirit of Silicon Valley thinking, we failed fast. So now we can move on, sort of. It is always important, though, to reflect on what we might learn from the effort so we don't do it again. I mean, make the same mistakes. As I mentioned, we can try to do it again in a different way. By the way, don't fall for that Einstein quote, which is not real, the definition of insanity. No, never use that, ever. As I mentioned, the timing of City Camp would have been an interesting way to whet the civic innovation appetites of Greater Vegas, to get teachers and students involved for the one-day event of City Camp, and to go through the process of signing up and actually participating, which are two different challenges in Vegas. Are you going to sign up? Oh, yeah. Are you going to show up? No way. True stories. This is still the case, though the specifics are not what we hoped for, of course. So, City Camp, September, canceled. Doesn't mean we've given up and we're running away. Instead, we have learned these in no particular order. Well, I'm going to read them in a particular order, but they're all sort of equal. We cannot count on local media to get the word out. That's just a fact. It's an ugly fact, but it is absolutely a fact. Unfortunately, we knew this the whole time, which is why we have the My Muni and Welcome initiatives on deck. Those are real projects, initiatives with multiple component projects that are essential. There's just no question about it. If I may editorialize for one sentence, the legacy local media of the Greater Vegas area is completely unprepared for a future as a global innovation hub. If Vegas ever does reach that point, it would be with a completely new information sharing landscape. Okay. Our local media outlets are not equipped for anything like a culture of innovation at Greater Vegas scale. That's just a fact. So we don't have to harp on that a lot today. The lack of response from teachers, and no, we did not wait until the summer for attempted outreach. This was going on for months, and also via direct mail. And no, they didn't just stop. They didn't stop interacting with the world when the summer vacation started. So anyway, because that was a comment. So we can't reach out to teachers in the summer. Yeah, they are allowed to respond and say no, at least. But the lack of response from teachers is particularly disappointing, but par for the course here. That's lesson learned over and over again over the past few years. It is entirely possible and likely that the school district and our local private schools infrastructure are having their own issues, or they simply don't know what to do with these sorts of opportunities for civic innovation, outreach in a challenge format or a one-day unconference or whatever it is. Whatever the case, we're not going to spend that effort again, so no more teacher outreach. The challenge is we're not going to reach out to students cold. We're not going to solicit minor participation. Minor participation is always welcome, but we're not going to go emailing. We're not going to bulk email students, right? It'll be through teachers or school programs or parents. Yeah, we're not going to randomly email young people. It's the way it is. LinkedIn has been less and less useful through the life of our organization, and longer, actually. Personally, I signed up for LinkedIn in, what was it, 2003 when they launched? 23 years ago. August. I signed up in August. They launched in May 2003. Signed up in August. It was a great idea. Not so today. It's absolutely not the way to reach out and engage with the potential participants that we're after. Now, for City Camp, to be sure, city officials and a lot of the people who know each other connect with each other on LinkedIn, but then they don't share information with the people at large, so they're mostly talking to each other. So LinkedIn becomes a sort of a siloed social media platform with some social networking. But yeah, I think it's doing a disservice, and it certainly prevents the general population of the greater Vegas area from being connected to what's happening. We can talk about that more another time, but there are too many examples where this has become problematic. And a smarter smart city should not have an us and them information sharing environment for some things that will affect everyone. We talked about water last week. If the discussions only take place on LinkedIn, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be surprised when there's 25% water allocation from the Colorado River. Anyway, getting off topic. So we have long found that the 1990 theory proves itself to be true at every turn, unfortunately. But it's not my theory. It's a real theory. It comes mostly from like social media, internet, not social media, but user-generated comments on user-generated content. So the people, creators, commenters and spectators or trolls, there's a few different ways to label these people, but the ones are proactive, the nines are enablers, and the 90s are just there to watch, or they're going to wait and see, like, why don't you do it and I'll decide later. So we have to focus our outreach on the ones and the nines, the people who are proactive and supportive. The 90s tend to be the spectators. There are a lot more spectators, and they may participate in some way later, but we cannot count on that eventuality at all. I wrote eventually. I wanted eventuality. Eventuality at all. So explicit focus on the ones and the nines moving forward. And that just means crafting our outreach to attempt to reach people who are already participating in civic innovation, hackathons, civic volunteerism, etc. And sort of did that with LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is such a hit and miss algorithm-driven platform. Follow and forget is the mantra. So even though we have over 1,000 followers of our Innovate for Vegas page, zero engagement. Nobody's seeing what we post there. 1,000 is not enough. Legacy social media had not been useful for our efforts over the years. So we had a Twitter account, we had an Instagram account, not useful. We currently have a Blue Sky account, not useful. We have a Mastodon account, not useful. We knew that, and for something like the utility is essentially zero for social media outreach. Nobody is using social media to find out, where's the Civic Innovation Hackathon happening in Vegas this weekend? That's not the audience. Slightly worse than LinkedIn, if you can believe that. But yeah, we need to either cast a wider net. Yeah, wider. We need to cast a wider net. So like every local media would have been nice if they said, hey, yeah, we will talk about this. No, they could care less. It's like violent apathy. But it would be nice if there was a way to kind of get the word out broadly so that people just can discover it and decide on their own, and then we'll take it from there. So we got to work on that. And that's generally useful. So it solves our problem, but it solves a general problem where people believe, I'll just post it on LinkedIn and that will be speaking to my audience. LinkedIn doesn't necessarily agree with you. Maybe you're paying to boost your post. That's a different topic. These were all distinct possibilities, all these factors, these learning lessons. But these unfortunate circumstances, along our outreach path, came to what did I write here? Getting tricky. Let me start that again. These were all distinct possibilities. That these unfortunate circumstances along our outreach path came to pass are simply a more compressed version of what we've been encountering throughout our rebooted timeline from 4+ years ago here in the greater Vegas area. Innovation is not about giving in and accepting the status quo, though. So now that we have all these fails in one package, like we know all of this just did not work, we can make them the hurdle to get over as the Smarter Smart City Challenge approaches for January. Last section. This show's going to be shorter than I thought. Good. Good for you. The potential pivot. So what do we do with City Camp Las Vegas? One possibility is to move the event to September 2027. I alluded to this previously. The specific date can coincide once again with World City Camp Day, as was the plan, was September 19th, 2026 for the inaugural City Camp Las Vegas this year. And by then, the existence of the Smarter Smart City Challenge will be better known, fingers crossed. It might even be a suitable late entry on-ramp since the challenge will still be going on for 3 more months or so. Like, oh, I didn't, okay, City Camp, okay, can I participate? You can, absolutely, yes, join in. We need to solve the outreach problem anyway, so we can aim in that direction. Then 1 year later, maybe things will be better at sharing the information about this upcoming possibility. As it happens, Las Vegas Startup Week ends on September 19th, 2026 this year. So it's a week. I think it's from Saturday to Saturday, or it might even be Saturday to Sunday, so 9 days. But I'm pretty sure it ends on September 19th, 2026. I take no joy in saying this. This is a lament, not a revel. But Las Vegas Startup Week does not get any news coverage and does not get the turnout that I believe it should. It's either, it didn't last year, and I cannot remember if last year was the second or third year. It might be the third year. It's definitely 2, but possibly 3 years of this. This year could be different unless there is a continued lack of coverage in our traditional media, which has been the case. They just don't talk about it. City Camp would be at the end of the week of whatever focus and participation they can eke out. And I am not optimistic for that any of this would be good for that week for this year. So I think it would actually make it even more difficult to get people to participate in the City Camp event at the end of Startup Week Las Vegas. That's I surmise this would be the case. But another possibility is to roll out a mini challenge as a sort of introduction during Global Entrepreneurship Week in November. Now, the problem here is that GEW, as it is called, in Las Vegas, and actually everywhere, but as it happens, and this has been the case each year, and it is the case again this year in 2026. GEW Week, Global Entrepreneurship Week, GEW, coincides with Formula One Race Week in Las Vegas. So GEW is during that week everywhere in the world, global. It's a week, but because it coincides with the week of the Formula One race being in Las Vegas, GEW in Las Vegas has to contend with that, and we know which one gets the press coverage and all the media, all the attention and so on. So 0 news coverage for GEW so far. Now, I connected with several Formula One people on LinkedIn, which is worth very little on the surface. I've connected with a lot of people on LinkedIn, 0 value, unless any of them can enable any sort of sponsorship by the Formula One Las Vegas contingent with a week-long focus on civic innovation. Now, so I know Formula One as an entity is very pro-sustainability, for example, and by the time November rolls around, it will be a little tiny bit more clear that there isn't going to be a lot of extra water floating around, for Greater Vegas. So it'll be an interesting time. It could be something. I can certainly reach out and not receive any response. I'm used to that. So yeah, we could have a 1 week long challenge coincides with GW and see what happens. And if that doesn't come together, that's fine, because we still have the Smarter Smart City Challenge happening come January. This all falls under the TBD, to be determined, umbrella for the moment. But the theory for those participating in the challenge, the Smarter Smart City Challenge, will, in some number of cases, realize their potential entrepreneurial innovation possibilities. So it actually does align with GEW in some way, not only possibly during the 1 week of the actual event, but that could be a lead into a full year of opportunity to turn, hey, somebody should fix that, into, hey, we could fix that. We could actually launch a company that does this for real. Smart cities, civic innovation, these are kind of up and coming, and they have been for a long time, but there's always opportunities here to be creative and be innovative, and it doesn't necessarily have to revolve around coding and technology. Don't believe everything you say. Not everything is AI yet, but it could be real human interaction. It could be real mechanical design. It could be actual civil engineering in action. It could be a whole bunch of things. So the Smarter Smart City Challenge almost certainly aligns with this general notion. And then it could also align once again, not only with CityCamp in 2027, but also GEW 2027. That will be even closer to the end, November of 2027. So by the time January of 2028 comes around, we've had a lot more time for people to participate. We've had time for people to learn about these shorter events, CityCamp, and a week-long mini challenge of sorts. So I mean, it's unfortunate to have to rationalize this, but hey, we need to work on My Muni and Welcome. There's a reason those are initiatives on our agenda, because we've already had these experiences. Getting the word out through our local media and through existing outreach and engagement pathways, LinkedIn, social media, etc., completely and totally incompatible with the notion that tomorrow in the greater Vegas area might be different than today. And we should be thinking that way. But that is a path that we are not yet halfway along. So we'll have to see what happens. But we'll see. So we'll see is the final three if you're contracting and don't count the fourth word. So we'll see. We'll see. The only thing we can be sure of, the closing comment. So there you go. So slight change of plans. No CityCamp 2026 for Vegas. We'll see what happens with regard to the Civic Volunteer Winter. We'll see if we can get people to discover the Smarter Smart City Challenge. If we can get there's a few different components of our initiative collection that really need to be in some sort of functional shape before that. So the Challenges platform, the My Muni and Welcome, and we need to have those up and running so that people can do the aha and the lean in. Oh, look at this. There's a different way to figure out what's going on in this crazy place. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. And if we can get more people kind of raising an eyebrow at least, oh, this does look interesting, then we'll see where things go. In the meantime, it's like change of plans. That's the way it is. Roll with it. Thank you for listening. As always, thank you for your unwavering support of our various civic innovation, civic outreach, community elevation endeavors. And think about it. Would you like to participate in the Smarter Smart City Challenge of 2027? We'll have to figure out if we can poll. We'll have a poll going at some point. Should we start like on January 2nd? I mean, signups will be beforehand, and signups are useful for trying to get the word out virally, but and also so that people can participate in our planning. We really want the people participating to be a part of what we actually try to line up through the year. We're not planning out a full year of agenda. You know, it might make sense to have 2 hackathons across the whole year. It might make sense to have 1 a month. It might make sense to have 1 per quarter. Maybe nobody likes hackathon. It could be anything. So we will hopefully have a growing participation through the year, and more people will say, you know, it would be cool, and then fill in the blank. So yeah, it's going to be a grand experiment. But you know what? The Greater Vegas area is a global innovation hub. And if there's one thing you will always find in a global innovation hub, it is a willingness to try new ideas, to go along the path less taken. So that's what we're going to find out. All right. Thank you for listening. As always, take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you next week, if not before. And maybe you'll talk back. Take care. Bye-bye.